Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is looking at the connections between HUMZA YOUSAF, the ex-First Minister of Scotland, a town in Gaza called Deir al-Balah, and Hamas. Now, before I start, just a few things that I need to tell you. I've been talking to people from the region over the course of the last 2-3 months, and they've been helping me understand more about what goes on in Gaza. And to understand this story fully, you need to appreciate that Gaza is very clannish in the way it's made up, with pockets of people from different backgrounds, 4 or 5 different sort of ethnicities, as it were, and histories, living in areas, predominantly outside Gaza, the biggest town, which is obviously a wee bit more cosmopolitan. But Deir al-Balah is a village south of Gaza City and tends to be inhabited by people from clans who originated from Egypt. And in fact, HUMZA's wife's name, Nadia El Nakla, the El Nakla basically translates to describing people who originated from Egypt. So you would find in Deir al-Balah quite a lot of people with the same historical backgrounds and a sort of clan system in place where you have a hierarchy and a clan leader of that area, and most of the people are intertwined, a lot of them families, etc. So a lot of people, relationships, they tend to stay in the same small areas, generations of families from, going back as far as the sort of 50s, etc. That a lot of people, if that's where their people are from, they still have relatives in that area, and a lot of people in each area are related. So now you sort of understand that, I'm going to show you a video that was brought to my attention and is by a website, the Media Line, a YouTube channel. I'll put a link to their website, their YouTube channel in the description to give them, full doff cap to them for putting this video out there. And I'll talk about the video and how everything all fits together once we watch it. So have a look at this. Use the pause button because there's a lot of captions come up which describe what's going on in a bit more detail, and see what happened in the area where HUMZA's in-laws are from and his wife's family are from over the last 24, 48 hours. So there we go, some images that we don't normally see on mainstream media in the United Kingdom, and probably indeed in much of the West, with some narrative attached to it. So first thing I want to show you now, this article, you can just Google the town and Nadia's family name, and you'll find many, about 10 or 12 articles in British mainstream outlets, which range from BBC and ITV to the Courier, which is our local newspaper to Dundee, Broughty Ferry, where HUMZA and his wife live now. And all of them quite clearly show you where the Al Nakla family are from, and that is indeed the village of Deir al-Balah. Okay, so now we know that's the village where our brother and our she talks about the doctor quite a lot in the family. That his wife, she got out to Turkey about a year ago, then was pleading with us to get her brother out, and that all stopped about a year ago. So nobody has been told where her brother is now. But he did show up on the 7th of October. HUMZA himself done a podcast with his brother-in-law, where behind him was quite a modern Western European door, etc. So we're not sure where he is just now, but certainly that is the village, and you can see how they were hero worshipped in that village, which I need to remind you, very clannish type network where there's a lot of community there. So you can imagine most people in the community look as if they're quite happy to see Hamas and celebrate what they have been told is a victory in this war, which I don't know if anybody can be victorious in the war, but there you go. So that is the first thing. We now know that that's the Al Nakla place of residence. Next thing is, back in, as you'll see in the date here, is that May 2021, Nadia talks to the National, and in that story, she tells you that over the last week, she's been in constant contact with the remaining family in Gaza, blah, 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 and the bomb exploded near their home where Al Nakla's gran stays. She was 85 back then. Now, at that time, was it's a 2021, 22, it was a reasonably quiet time in the, you consider the history of that area. And there were some bombings from Israel into that area. And these bombs, precision, because they're $50,000 to $100,000 each, I'm led to believe. And you're not going to just throw them willy-nilly, especially at a time when you're not trying to carpet bomb a place, you're trying to do specific targets. So to have a bomb explode quite near their home is a bit, well, who's there? Because you imagine that the leaders that they're trying to attack would be bombing areas where the nicer houses are. So if it's next door to you, you're probably in a nice house, and that means I'm sort of questioning how did that end up, right? Because that's how these sort of societies live. Now, going back forward again up until recent times, in the early days of the Hamas-Israel war, Nadia was in the newspapers telling us that her cousins, 3 of them, were injured with shrapnel. Now, this story was published on the 17th of October, which is quite early on in the time scale of that particular war. And if you remember rightly, the Israelis didn't start bombing immediately. So I've had a look at the UN website where they keep updates on the humanitarian situations in Gaza and in other places around the world. And I went through and searched the village, and they've got quite specific and quite precise details, times, dates, amount of injured, amount of killed, every single situation in Gaza. Now, I cannot find anything pre the 17th of October of any bombs in that area. I can find this, as you can see here, it's highlighted. There was a journalist shot in a refugee camp in Deir al-Balah, which obviously wasn't how her cousins got shrapnel injured. And there was another one just after it where it was in a tent in a camp. Now, her family were not living in a tent in a camp, so it can't be that one. I will, however, concede that if you go into Wikipedia, which is anybody can put details in Wikipedia, it does look as if there was a bomb at that time, according to Wikipedia, but I can find no evidence of it whatsoever anywhere else on the internet. So that leaves us considering one of two things. It either did or didn't happen. It was either a sob story, which is pretty horrific to think somebody would tell wee porcupines about stuff like that, or it did happen, and for some reason, no other outlet on the internet has picked up this bombing in Deir al-Balah. However, to go back to what I said earlier, at that point in the war, any $50,000 to £100,000 armaments that were being fired into Gaza were in very precise areas at that time. So again, to question, if you've got 3 cousins injured with shrapnel, that's pretty bizarre, because were they part of the targeted area, which was targeting military posts and specific areas that help the war effort for the Hamas, or specific people. And that's even scarier thought, if they were targeting somebody that must have been very, very close if 3 people in her family all get injured in that bombing. So I'm not saying it didn't happen, and I'm not saying it did happen, but either way, it's not a great look. So what we now know is, we now know where the family are from, we now know what type of people are in that clannish system, where they celebrate really, I mean, look at the kids, it's quite horrific to watch and see, what's the, sort of MO of these people in that area. I'm not saying everybody in Gaza celebrates for Hamas, but when you understand now that that footage with those young kids, etc., is that area, an area that looks very, very proud of Hamas and seems to support them heavily, and the Al-Naklas have got, apparently in some quarters have said, quite a big nice house in that area, then how does a family get A, so close to bombs that are going out at specific targets, and B, living in a nice house in an area where the clan leaders would be in the nicer houses? So, as far as I'm concerned, what does it point to? Well, it points to a family that are probably, using common sense, logic and probability, from an area very, very supportive of terrorist organisation. The rest you can read into at your own will. Thanks very much for watching this video and getting so far into it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe and notification button for the channel, and put your comments and opinions in the comment section below, please. But most importantly, well, unless you're the type of person that's got quite a, non-aggressive opinion of a terrorist organisation, is probably the nicest way to put it. Not you, but
everyone else. Have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.